January 5th, 2011, Sharing Life Center Sessions 1, Intro. In this section, I wanted to talk about myself, introduce myself, give a little background as to my experiences which developed my beliefs, and therefore will explain or add validity to the sessions that are going to follow regarding spiritual beings, the here and now, extraterrestrials, universal healing, and so forth. I was born in 1971, and my parents, although quite similar, come from different backgrounds in a sense, and their belief systems, which were impactful. On my dad's side, pretty much a tarot reader, astrologer for decades. On my mother's side, she was religious, Christian. I was pretty much raised Catholic up until about the 7th, 8th grade, somewhere in there. Catholic school, which involved going to Catholic church as well. After that, within that time period, I moved in with my father, and having access to his library and conversations with him concerning the tarot, astrology, opened up that door. So taking with me the beliefs that were taught to me concerning Christianity from the Catholicism side of things, and bringing the two together. I also spent some time on my own doing a lot of research, studying the world's religions, early civilizations, ancient mysteries, mythology. Some of the authors that come to mind were some of the folk that I spent a lot of time studying their works: Carl Jung, Joseph Campbell, Rudolf Steiner, Edgar Cayce, to name a few. My experiences with the paranormal started at a very early age, before I could really understand what was going on. I recall hearing voices, for example, I recall hearing when I was about maybe 7 or 8, I would wake to this voice. It was the voice of an older man, yet his tone was like that of a child. If I had to give him an age range, it would be somewhere between 38 and 42, somewhere in there, calling for his brother. And I seemed to be the only one hearing it. And it happened regularly, like at the crack of dawn. I also recall seeing a small man actually running across the wall. If I had to give him a measurement, I would say he was about a little over ½ an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch tall, and was running full speed. He didn't see me, but he was just running full speed from something and then disappeared. I think the most impactful gift that I had, which opened the doors to understanding the paranormal and the spiritual realms, was my ability to dream and the way I dreamt. I recall a dream that I had that it was made very clear to me that I was being taught while dreaming about the spiritual realm and how the laws there are governed and work, and therefore I always look forward to going to sleep and dreaming. It was like, if you're going to school for art and you're an artist, you enjoy it. It's like every moment that you're there is something that you're going to learn. It's going to eventually develop, your passion even more for that gift, for that talent. I distinctly remember a dream that I had in which a woman that was working in the HR department in my actual job, in my real job, was in the dream, and she was taking me down a hall, I guess you can say, and there was two shadows in the back following, so to speak. And I recall seeing a huge, just like the face of this being, and it had two eyes, but then in the center of the forehead, it had the third eye that was wide open, and it appeared to be in the dream and yet outside of the dream. And it didn't say anything really, but when I woke, and putting all the symbols and the meaning and the feeling that I had once I woke together, her being personnel or an HR, felt very much like I was being recruited, in a sense, to carry on an understanding of the spiritual realm, because the face that appeared, just in its appearance, was letting me know that the way the general public views reality is not correct. Well, it's correct in the sense that the perception is, because that's what they know, but outside of their perception lies another one. So there's a realm within a realm, that sort of thing. Even when you're dreaming, there's a way to be halfway in this world, halfway in the dream world, and while in that state, access certain things, access knowledge. And at the time, I didn't have a word to put to it. But as I continued to do research, it then occurred to me that this was a form of shamanism or shamanism. And shamans have been doing this for ages. I've seen the spirits of those that have passed. I've heard them quite clearly in my head, sometimes individuals, sometimes groups. I have had several near-death experiences. I have seen manifestations. I have seen thought forms. I have seen ghosts. I think I already mentioned spirits. I have spent time being tested, in a sense, where first it was my hearing, where I was hearing beings around me. Second was my sight. And then third was the empathic ability, which, surprisingly enough, kept developing to the point where I could pick up a picture and tell you about the person that was in the picture. I can pick up a person's belonging and tell you about that person, that sort of thing. Clairvoyance came, but at the time that it hit me, I played with it kind of like a kid with a new toy, not obeying rules. And if you're told, well, you're not supposed to, play after this time or with this sense, use it for good, that kind of thing, it went straight to my head. And I used the clairvoyant gift for my own pleasure, I guess you can say. And I like to shock people. I spent a lot of time online telling people what they had on, what their house looked like, that sort of thing, and it was totally freaking them out. And I got a huge kick out of it. But within time, I began to realize that was not what the gift was intended for. So I had to put a halt to that. My near-death experiences, two of them on a motorcycle, but it was the first one on the motorcycle in which when I flew up in the air, I kind of, at the time, I was living like a normal, quote unquote, a normal life. I worked, went home, had a girlfriend, lived with her, whatever. But at that time when there was an issue with the brakes